So I've been seeing Chris Chan's name popping back up again, and honestly, anytime it does, you know it's not for good reason, and today is no different. We gotta start by talking about him copyright striking Geno Samuel down, but then we gotta get to last night, where Chris posted a video basically saying, enough is enough, the trolling needs to stop. And listen, I'm gonna cut the bullshit with y'all right now. I have no idea how I'm gonna present this video to you guys. When I was watching it earlier to record this, I was like, dude, I am 10 minutes in and I still have no idea what he is talking about. You can see it on screen right now though, he is one angry Chris Chan. But basically around the end of it, maybe around the 19-minute mark, I understood what the gist of it was. Stop being mean to me, because I don't even like live streaming anymore. He basically gives people one of those classic Chris Chan ultimatums. You either need to stop the trolling or the streams will cease. There'll be no more if the people can't get their acts together in Chris's live stream chat. Like, do you not understand you're in the presence of God? Act like it, trolls. Act like it. And another thing that Chris brings up in this video we'll watch later is that he now regrets posting anything online. He should have never looked up his name in 2007 when he got a Wii. He should have never posted anything online. So, let's just forget it ever happened, right? Let's put the cat back in the bag and just forget Chris Chan ever existed. Or at least, let's forget about the Chris Chan that Chris Chan wants us to forget about. You know, the one that drank his own Navy and all that. He definitely doesn't want us to forget about his, like, Sonichu or anything like that, or the fact that he's God. That's the most important shit in the world to him. And it's so important, in fact, that he can't even let anybody else make parody-like material of it. Because recently, about 2 weeks ago, Geno Samuel, you know, the guy who's the reason most of you are watching this video right now and even know who Chris is, yeah, that Geno Samuel, he and some other content creators made their own Sonichu the Animated series, and they did voice work for it and really put more work into this one, like 4 or 5 minute video. Well, there's numerous of them and they're very good, but yeah, it looks like they put more hard work into this than Chris has put into Sonichu in his entire lifetime. And as you can imagine, when Chris saw this, he was not too happy. And I think it's because somebody created like a better version of Sonichu, and he was like, fuck that, can't be having that shit. So Chris copyright struck it and YouTube took it down. Geno made a short talking about this, saying, you know what, it's understandable, it's his artwork, whatever. But since then, Geno has uploaded all the remaining parts over to his Twitter, so I'll have them linked in the description below if you want to go check them out. And you'd assume, right, that Chris was just like, no, can't use my artwork, it's my intellectual property, I don't want to see none of it out there. Well, yeah, basically, he hates when anyone uses his artwork, but Chris gave a more in-depth explanation, and it really shows that the only reason he didn't like this is because his voice was not the voice of Sonichu. Chris tweeted out, hey everyone, as some of you are aware, I have indeed personally struck down Geno Samuel's recent animations based from my books. I had felt ill will, as I was not personally consulted with, nor involved. So right there, he's like, no, you didn't include me, so fuck off with that, you don't get to use my stolen drawings. And already after reading that, it's like, why? Why should they have to consult with you over something that you never consulted with Nintendo over? Do you ever really go talk to Mr. Miyamoto? I know at one point you thought you were going to, but did you ever really go there and go, hey Mr. Miyamoto, can I use Pikachu? I don't do a good Chris Chan impression, it's not like a Nova one, but yeah, you've never asked Nintendo for their input on your creations, so I don't know why you think you deserve the same luxury. Not to mention that he did not include links to my Etsy and his other shop or whatever it is. In any event, had I been contacted, I would have considered collaborating with him and lend my voice for Sonichu Prime and Chris Chan. That remains a possibility though. So I mean, yeah, right there, he's like, yo, had you just called me and said, Chris, you can do the voices that you've always wanted to do, I would have been cool with it. But since you didn't give me that luxury and you let some other guy voice me, like, how dare you? How dare you? No, this will not fly. And Chris, he's always wanted to do this. He's been saying it for years, that when Sonichu eventually takes off, gets his own cartoon and video games, that he himself has to voice Sonichu. Now, it doesn't matter that Chris Chan sounds like this, hey guys, how you doing? And Sonichu sounds like this, hey guys, how you doing? Like they're the exact same voice, but like a slightly like less southern twang, or maybe more depending on who's listening. But it doesn't matter to Chris, because in his own headcanon, his voice is Sonichu's voice, and if there's another voice coming out of his mouth, it's just not real. It's also why Chris kind of hates any fan depiction of Sonichu. Now again, that sounds so ironic considering what Sonichu is, but he hates when people kind of give plot lines or put words into his character's mouth that he didn't make them say, or put them in situations that he would never want them in. So that's why he's always against this shit. But I mean, even then, it doesn't really make sense to get mad at it. That's always going to happen if you have a character out there in the public. Nonetheless, Gino's video wasn't even doing that. I'm pretty sure they were just telling the original Sonichu story, but even that was too much for Chris. He was like, nah, it needs my voice, needs my input, and needs my Etsy link, and if it doesn't have any of that, you get copyright struck down. But so far, I see mentions of his Etsy link not being there, and his voice not being used, which is no reason to copyright strike something down. Chris even goes on and says, regardless, I did feel like after the success of the documentary, this endeavor would not have netted him the views he desired, as it does not recapture that metaphorical lightning in a bottle he had before. Well, that right there should consider this whole copyright strike bullshit null and void, in my opinion. He's going out of his way to say, well, I didn't think you'd get views because, well, I didn't think it would really net that type of audience. It doesn't matter what you fucking think, Chris. To go and say that this guy's video was infringing on your copyrighted material when really it was just, a parody of the comics you made, which are themselves a parody of Nintendo's own intellectual property, is just ridiculous. I know people will be in the comments going, well, Smokey, it sucks, but, Chris is well within his legal rights, and if that's true, let's all do it. Why are we, not copyright striking, that's for pussies, but, what I'm saying is, let's start combining your two favorite characters and just writing comics about it. Like me, I love Batman. I love Superman. So I'm going to merge them together into one guy named Batman. And, or Superman. Whichever one you want, you have to take one part of their name and the other, kind of like Chris did. Or even, hear me out on this, Batman and Cyrax. Batrax. And look, he sent out more tweets, and it's just more of him spouting the same bullshit, like, well, if I was consulted, I probably wouldn't have minded. No, if you were consulted and told that you didn't, they didn't want you voicing yourself, or didn't want you voicing Sonichu, you would have pitched a fit and made it hell for them anyway. But Chris tries to resonate with Gino, saying it is a shock, as others have experienced when one's content or even channels get taken down. I've been there before when my websites were hacked and needed to be taken down. Oh my god, he's like, hey guy, I know I just fucked with your shit, but don't worry, people fuck with my shit all the time, so I get where you're coming from, bud. And in my opinion, it's a pretty messed up move on Chris's part. Gino's been nothing but impartial for years with the documentary series, and him doing that with some other creators just seemed like a bit of fun, and Chris does not like fun if he's not allowed to partake in it. But when it comes to this whole situation, let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments. But as I mentioned, Chris put out a 20-minute video talking about everything he really doesn't like about his current living situation. And it's pretty long, it's pretty drawn out, and it's not as bad as the 3-hour live stream he did the night before. Chris did another one of his Sonic 06 speedrun live streams. By the way, it's been one 3-hour live stream, a second 3-hour live stream, and then about a month break, and now he's come back and done a third 3-hour live stream. We're about 9 hours into Sonic 06. This is in no way a speedrun, not in the slightest. I've skimmed through Twitch before. I see the Mario 64 speedruns, and we're not even talking 16-star here. I've seen guys beat the game a full 120 stars numerous times in one night. Now, obviously, those guys take time to practice and really get good at their game, but Chris did have a month to kind of practice off stream and get good at Sonic 06, but it's clear that he didn't give enough of a shit about the game or his audience to do that. The stream was terrible, it was just really boring, and then, like I said, the next day he put out this video, the one you're about to see now. In some ways, this feels like a return to form for Chris, and funnily enough, in the video he's talking about, you're not gonna get the old Chris Chan back. We really don't hear him make these long videos just specifically to call out the trolls anymore, but here we are. And it kind of feels like a blast from the past, but the second he starts mentioning God and Jesus Christ Chan, you remember, oh, it's modern day Chris, and this sucks so much more. So with that being said,
Hey everybody, Jesus Christine Weston Chandler, Sanchi Prime here once again. And I am being very serious. For the sake of transparency, I have disabled the green screen filter and I have some notes. Which essentially, to be honest, is pretty much my dialogue. But I'm still going to take my time, so I may be a bit slow. So there you go.
And oh, he means that. I did not lie when I said this is one long drawn out video. He takes his sweet ass time saying everything he needs to say. So you may be here for a while, but damn, that means that I am also going to be here for a while.
Since I started about my online presence and attempted at being more social and individual after having moved back to Ruckersville, I felt like I've been met by a real mixed bag of individuals. Over the years, I've been mentally and emotionally abused, manipulated, deceived, pressured, and just simply stressed.
I mean, yeah, dude, no shit. That is the 5th stress sigh in the first minute of the video. I'm not even lying. You can go back and count. I've never heard him drop this many stress sighs other than, like, the blue spike call where he's like, it won't go in. It was a fucked up call, honestly. But for real, there was a lot of stress sighs there. There's a lot of stress sighs here, and he's not shoving no types of medallion up his ass.
For a long time, still am, I have had an amount of optimism in the goodness of others on this earth. I was naive for a long time, but over the decades I have learned over and over hard about such individuals, and these details I should have been more aware of for a longer time. But I found myself, and I count the blessings that I have now and the good times I actually had in the past that actually helped to develop me for the better, on top of the bad. But the mixture of the toxic individuals, just in general, made me feel upset and distraught. I continued on with as optimistic an attitude and faith in others as possible, as well as the faith in the better outcomes I have foreseen between numerous dreams and visions. It became tough to hold on to that faith at times. I have been tested time and again. Of course, that includes all of the theoretical answers. That includes the friendship that I had with Megan Schroeder, and just the acquaintances and friendships that I at one point wanted to be romantic, but obviously that was not going to ever be the case.
You hear what that is right there? He's talking a lot about faith, and this is a man who is really coming close to losing all types of faith in the shit he believes in. Obviously, Chris is never going to drop the Sonichu shit, and at this point, he's never going to drop the God shit. And this is just speculation, of course, but to me, the way he just talks so deflated about how he had optimism, and how a lot of these followers have optimism, and they've waited, and waited, and waited, and, you know, and all the theoretical X's, and even brings up Megan. It shows that even 20 years later, this woman is still on his mind. That's got to be so creepy for her to have to live with. To me, and you'll see it later on as this video keeps progressing, this just seems like a really more beaten down Chris. A lot of people probably thought, because he's been getting spotted in Finland and really been making more money than he ever has, that everything's been going good for Chris, but this video tells an entirely different story.
The indirect comments, the bad arts, I should never, ever take it personally. Had I never looked at, have I never taken any of them personally, had I never Googled my name after getting that Nintendo Wii. Had such things been different as early as 2006, things would be a lot different today.
Now, I know that's where all this shit technically started. When he got his Wii, and it was like on Halloween of 2007, or was it 2006, and he looked up his own name, and that's where he discovered the ED article and all these people talking about him. And he's trying to make it sound like if that never happened, everything would be okay, if he could have just remained blissfully ignorant. But I'd argue there's a lot of shit you could have done in your past that would have made your present, like, a whole lot less weird. Chief among thee being, the barb boinking.
With each time of abuse and deception and betrayal, I felt disappointment, and I felt hatred towards those individuals who had done these things upon me. My family, as well as those around me, and other people in general over the years. Suffice to say, this is very bad and very wrong. I still know and appreciate that forgiveness is indeed the better way, because I would just be letting the villains win if I just let the hatred consume me, if I just let the screams and shouts go out all over the place. But that is not me at all, as it has been made more clear from time to time. Oh look, we're finally going to get classic Chris Chan back. Haha. Yes, no. We are never, ever, ever, ever doing that again.
So he's basically saying he's a changed man. He's not the Chris Chan of old. And he talks about all the haters and the fakers, the people who've abused him in the past. And honestly, I'll be real here, Chris has definitely dealt with some shit, him and his entire family. But also, let's be honest, Chris has done some pretty heinous shit to his family as well. And it wasn't troll influenced. The trolls weren't like, yo, go boink Barb. And I know people will make the argument Isabella jank, but no, it was happening before Bella found out. And so Chris is like, that's not me no more. I'm not going to show my fangs. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to be the old Chris Chan. Never, ever again. Now, my question is, what old Chris Chan are you talking about? Because he's about to say that he changed in like 2011, 2012, I'm assuming around when Bob died. But, the worst of Chris Chan happened in 2021. And, again, I know we're going back to that, but really here, it can't be overstated that the old Chris Chan Chris is speaking of is like classic wearing, Guitar Hero controller in hand Chris. And the worst of Chris is, again, the Chris from only a few years back. But right here, right now, Chris is doing something that in one way or another, every single person I've ever covered on my channel has done. And what that is he's trying to say, I've changed. I'm not the old me anymore. Let people grow. Let people change. See the change. And 9 times out of 10, this does not go well. But, let's see if he changes. I know he won't. I'm not putting my money on it. But how nice would it be if Chris just came out tomorrow and was like, man, that me from a day ago sucked. Oh my God. Look, I admit it. The internet, they're laughing at me. They're blaming at me. And I have to change. And I'm going to change for all you guys and for, the remaining family I got left. Because my name is Christian Weston Chandler. And I'm a good guy. That would go a long way, Chris, but it's not going to happen. And I'll tell you the main reason it's not going to happen. Because Chris thinks he's already changed. This video right here is basically a call to all the trolls saying, why won't you accept that I've changed and I'm a better person already? Like, look at me. Look at my eyes. See the change.
I have been slowly, but surely, mentally and emotionally and spiritually been maturing. Dude, hold up. Very few you may hold up. You may be wondering, why'd you stop the video? What happened right there? Nothing really happened. Chris is lying. And if anybody knows why Chris is lying, comment it right now.
I'll pin the first one I see, really. What he just did right there was basically a sign to all true followers that what he's about to say is not honest. Because that flip of the Sonichu medallion is all you needed to see. When the Sonichu medallion is not facing upright, or he's not wearing it, he's not telling the truth. And so when he says flip it real quick, I've been maturing. No, he hasn't. Chris has not been maturing in the slightest, and even he knew that. He was like, well, better not lie right now, right in the face of my Sonichu medallion. I don't know why he did it, but if you know Chris, you know it's one of those telltale signs that, oh shit, something's up. Look, maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm reading way too much into this. However, this is also the guy that just went through copyright striking Gino's whole series down because, yeah, they didn't take my input into my beloved character Sonichu. This is his life. Sonichu is everything to him. And these little these little ticks you'll see, they mean something. Sometimes. Maybe not. But I think this time it does.
Now, it was, as you could tell, from as early as 2011 or 12. And eventually, I finally stopped sharing and oversharing personal and life details and events. Why? Because that should never have been done in the first place. But under emotional pressure and my being naive, I had lacked that common sense. I feel like there's just so much hatred and discomfort inside me towards those online, with that needless hatred and shit from over the blade decades, that I just do not feel at ease doing the live streams. I feel like my development and maturity is just not appreciated. I feel the fact that I had found myself is not appreciated. And I feel like I continue to be perceived based on past versions of myself that I am no longer whatsoever. And I simply cannot feel good about it or laugh it off. And that is regardless of my prior lack of awareness of how I am perceived.
So that's basically it. You know, the live streams, he can't do them because of all the hate inside him directed at the internet. And it's because of all these people in his live stream chat who are just really getting under his skin. Chris wants the entire chat to be saying, "Woo, Sonic 06, we love you, Christ-chan." He doesn't want the chat to be saying what it is right now, which is, let me go check. Why did you do what you did to Barb? Mommy, I'm not reading the second word, but it starts with an R. You have 2 or 3 attempted towers every couple minutes. It's never a fun time for Chris. It's never what he wants his chat to be. And he's basically letting people know this shit ain't gonna fly. Listen, you are going to respect me. Look at the change. I just said it a couple minutes ago. Look into my eyes. That's what he wants these people to really do. Like, really, look at me. Do you not see the change? I'm not the same Chris-chan anymore. What do you expect me to do? Make a video for like 20 minutes bitching about the trolls? I don't do that. That's not me.
I mean, how would you feel if you were constantly egged on and perceived as something childish when you know you are of a better emotional maturity or age? And that's just regardless of the physical age, as a lot of you can be aware. You can be 30 years old and have the mentality of, let's say, a 15-year-old, because you're probably like, you know, an inner closeted individual just essentially clinging on to creature comforts and whatnot.
The fuck does that mean? I mean, firstly, the end part there, I have no idea what he just said. But the whole part about a 30-year-old being in the closet as a 15-year-old, like, again, what does that even mean? Basically, this whole conversation started with him saying he doesn't want to be treated like a kid anymore because he's grown emotionally and spiritually. And really? Like, well, I definitely see people, most likely a lot of white knights, handle Chris with kids' gloves. Most people look at you like a crazy man because of all the Jesus nonsense you talk now. Really, a lot of people are forgetting you as the Sonichu guy and being like, oh, now he thinks he's God. And the ones who aren't either don't care about your story anymore, or they just haven't gotten to that part in Gino's documentary yet.
If you all really want me to continue doing live streams, then this really needs to change. I would genuinely appreciate authentic positivity as well as authentic appreciation and support in my mental and emotional maturity as an individual. And what I am going to do and meant to do in my continued lifetime and everything and all that is good and righteous. I have felt pain and despair over and over and over again. And every photo or recording of me and uploading or public sharing of that without my personal consent or better direct consultation is felt like an act of great betrayal and mistrust. And you're not going to get any more deeper betrayal than hang on, my brain, the name is escaping me. Give me a moment. Dang it. Anyway, it'll come back to me in a moment, but anyway.
He doesn't even know what he's talking about, honestly. Chris just seems really mad about the way things have gone down in the past. The fact that he was at one point someone who divulged a lot of information online. And he says he doesn't do that anymore. And to an extent he doesn't. I mean, not as much as he did in the past, but he still does every now and again. And I brought it up in the beginning of the video. It sounds like he's just trying to put the cat back in the bag, being like, stop posting old stuff of mine. I hate seeing it. It makes me feel such hatred inside towards all you. And it's like, sounds like more of a you problem considering you posted this all online yourself, but he wants it all off the internet. Not really, though. He's not calling for everyone to take down their videos. I mean, however, we go back to the Gino thing, it sounds like he does want a lot of shit down, at least the shit he doesn't like. Really, I think this is just more of him being like, man, I wish I didn't see this shit every day. And then, of course, he's talking about how, why can't you see that he's changed and he's grown up, and you can't say you've matured while then, like, maybe a minute later, not even a minute, a few seconds later, saying you're maturing well in your light-powered aura, in your godly ways or whatever you said. The way you talk about yourself clearly shows that you haven't matured in the slightest. It's always been about you, Chris. The whole God thing is just a way for you to be the cream of the crop, the big kahuna. Everyone has to answer to Chris now. And the fact that you can't see that it just shows that you haven't grown up in the slightest.
Like, yeah, there's a reason why this merge is happening and why there are going to be those that are going to be left behind, the toxic ones. Or at least the toxicity from with them is going to be left behind if they end up physically surviving at that point. But that's a whole to be confirmed, respectively, individually, out of those millions to billions of my followers. Within that spectrum. Around the earth, around the 12-18 half of this earth, and just the toxic individuals in general from the C197 half, but that's a whole different kettle of fish right there.
Again, how can you expect anyone to think you're maturing, or at least a sound-minded individual, when you're talking about this merge stuff again? And also, he's changed the rules of his own merge. It was always that all the toxic haters will be left behind. You do not get another chance. If you've spoken ill of Chris Chan, it's over. Game over for you. But actually now, there's a chance the toxicity might be withdrawn from your body before you are then sent to Merge Land with Chris and all his followers.
I am a strong, mature individual. I am identified and knowing that I am the one avatar of all existence. And everything of which I've talked about before. Because I found myself in all the self-meditations, all self-realizations, and even I am understood and acknowledged by those who are actually authentically psychic and can sense the auras and energies and everything. But that still is a small number in comparison to the majority who don't have as much psychic openness or spiritual openness from themselves, or the connections that most of them that do have them are able to reach. And I've reached far beyond them. I've connected with the alpha and omega point of all existence, literally. And that's beyond the timeline core matrix, and that's beyond this universe's core matrix.
Now, again, maybe I'm just reaching here, but when he first started talking and he kept talking about, I am mature, I really am, somebody in his life said he's not being mature. Was it Flutter? Was it one of the Praetor members? Who told him he's not acting mature? Maybe this is why this video is happening, where he's like, hey, listen to how serious I am when I talk about being the one avatar of all existence, alright? I talk with the psychics. I talk with them, like, psychically. Like, I know you don't hear us talking, but we're talking with our minds. Who am I talking with, you may ask? Magichan in the corner over there? And Alakazam, he's here too. And it's also just a way to, like, overinflate his ego. He has to talk about he's the one, he's Neo, basically, and Chris is the only one who can save the world. Chris is the one we all have to look to. And in his own mind, he's that important. Like, the fact that people aren't seeing this now is really getting under his skin.
It takes a lot to break me. It takes a lot to make me bend or break. It's like all I could do is just continue to have faith. And as you can tell, I have become more emotionally grounded and stable as opposed to when I was, back in 2007 or 8? Hey, 2007 called. They want the Chris Chan memes back.
Well, Chris, 2021 called, and it is begging for 2007 to come back. Oh my god. 2007 Chris is so much of a better guy than 2021 Chris. But you want to make people think this you, the you from the past few years, has been a good guy. It's never been worse. And he's starting to see that, I think. I know I've been reading into a lot in this video, but with Chris's eyes, when they're on screen, I know his eyes have been off screen a lot, but Chris has been pretty copyright heavy lately, so we're going to try to avoid it any way we can. But this guy's eyes tell a story, man, and that story is that, wow, things are just really fucked up in my life. You know, I can't even live stream anymore without having fun, and he never really had fun live streaming. Again, the only way he'd ever have fun doing a stream is if the entire chat was just kissing his ass, and that's never gonna happen. So, Chris makes videos like this, kind of pleading to the internet for something to change, and I will bet that neither Chris Chan nor the internet changes at all after this video was put out. But we'll have to see what happens, only time will tell. I'll of course be updating y'all if Chris Chan does anything next. It's been quite a while since my last Chris Chan update, so I wanted to let you all know what was going on here. I was thinking about making a video after the Geno situation, but I thought I'd wait until something else happened and kind of talk about it all together. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I know I did. Anytime we talk about Chris, it feels like the old days on the channel. But if you liked videos like this and you want to see more like it in like a more long form format, stop over to Kiwi Tapes' channel every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Too High for Stupid. It's our podcast we do where we talk about Chris and a lot of people a lot like him. Also, if you like stuff like this and you want to hear about it more as it's happening, follow me over on Twitter at SmokeyMcC. It's a wild world out there, my friends, and I hope all y'all are going to be safe this summer and have a real good one, and it's probably going to be a lot better than the time Chris Chan's going to be having. But, as I said, if anything happens, I will keep y'all updated, and until that day comes, stay safe, everybody, and have a good one. I'll catch y'all later.